What's up, guys? It's the Farooqi Brothers, back with a very special interview. Joining Comic Book Debate today is none other than director Zack Snyder. Zack, thank you for joining us, man. How are you?
I'm great. How you doing?
Doing well. We're very happy to have you on with us, and we're very excited for this. Let's get it going, and I'll kick us off. So, Zack, you've directed some of the most heavily debated and successful comic book movies of all time. Each film, whether it be Watchmen or Man of Steel or Batman v Superman, they challenged both the audience and the genre in different ways. So I guess my question is, what makes you gravitate to superheroes and comic books as a medium? And can you get into where your love for superheroes and superhero movies began?
Yeah, I guess for me, the reason why I guess I've ended up, sort of working in this genre more than I maybe at the beginning of my career thought I would, is probably because I'm a big fan of sort of myth and the power of myth, and I think that really in a lot of ways has led me to this genre in particular, because I think it's a lot of ways comic books are sort of modern myth. It's our way of sort of figuring out the world that we live in and sort of putting it down to sort of images and event and sort of capsulating it in these kind of stories with these larger than life heroes that have to deal with these problems, the problems of the modern world in a very sort of what I would consider in a very mythological way, because they're and not in every instance, but in a lot of instances, they have like the characters have these incredible gifts or powers, and they have to use those to sort of navigate the world. And in the using of those gifts, they sort of deconstruct or hold a mirror up to our own struggles and our own real world problems. And I just find that really fascinating. And why I started to get into it, I was a fan of comic books, from an early age. A big fan of Watchmen, a big fan of Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns, and we talked about I was a big fan. Grew up reading heavy metal, the magazine, and sort of that's where my real love of sort of graphic storytelling started, and sort of fantasy art and illustration. And I really was a huge fan of that magazine, and it really sparked sort of my love of using images to tell stories, and here we are.
That's awesome, man. I mean, like you mentioned, The Dark Knight Returns is a very impactful comic book and graphic novel for you growing up. How much influence did that play in your deconstructed story for Batman in Batman v Superman, for your debut of the character?
Yeah, I mean, it a lot. It is my hope one day to still, I think it's possible to, make Dark Knight Returns into an actual motion picture, and that would be a thing that I'd be interested in doing in the future at some point. I don't know when, so yes, I didn't want to. I tried to homage it more than actually steal from it, in the sense that I wanted to just show the influence on me, and how big of an influence it had on me. And so I wanted to take what I consider iconic moments and place them in the movie, so that you would see that, like, my point of view. It's really a thing that informs my point of view more than actually the exact story of Batman v Superman. And I guess it goes to what you're saying relative to the deconstructive nature of the film. Frank's that comic book is very much a deconstruction of the character as well. So yes, the answer is it had an influence, but again, I don't think I really was trying to preserve that film as its own thing, because that comic book as its own thing, so that I could, still one day maybe make that into a movie.
Well, speaking of tackling, larger than life characters, In many ways, like your entire DC story, like your arc kind of revolves around Superman. Like he's kind of at the heart of the first three films. Can you break down your philosophy on him, and do you feel pressure or like find it challenging when working with that character specifically, just because of his kind of his grasp on pop culture? He's like a certain way. Everyone has like a certain understanding of him.
Yeah. When I first started working on the movie, when I read the script and talked to Chris about it, I was pretty wide-eyed and pretty excited about the possibilities of kind of taking this iconic superhero and trying to place him in our world in a way that you could understand the reality of the dilemmas that he might face, and also just in the world's reaction to him. And I felt like, to me, grounding him in that way, or kind of bringing him into our world rather than us going into his, was sort of the way I thought about it. And I wanted to make sure that, because one of the big knocks against Superman, I guess, in some ways, is that like he's unrelatable because his powers are so great and he is abstract, and so therefore is almost like mythologically just a representation of God on Earth. And to me, I was like, okay, that's interesting and I understand, but like I want to like connect with the character in a deeper way, so that he's not aloof and not away, and that he's, that we understand his struggles, and that everything's not easy for him, and it's a difficult world, and his interaction with the world is far more, it's harder than you'd think it would be. And that's kind of the thing that really got me excited about making the movie and working and sort of having this character that kind of physically could do anything, but that in our world, it's not just about the physical reality of what you're capable of, but also about sort of your spiritual place in the world and how you fit into it. And I think that was that's kind of where I was that's what I was going for when I started working on the movie, was like, I wanted you to be able to say, if I was Superman, that's what I would do, which I think is a thing that in the past hasn't really been the approach necessarily.
And Zach, I think I'll follow up on that question myself, and I'll just say that, make a point first that, a lot of people of color, a lot of minorities, a lot of people from different aspects and walks of life specifically mentioned that they connected with your version of Superman, or that your Superman is why they got into the character and then they delved into the comics. And then obviously the article I wrote about how your Superman story is very much in line with an immigrant perspective. So how do you feel when you hear people or people of color, people from different countries, different languages, and they say your Superman was the one that really connected with me specifically?
I like that, because I think that the immigrant story, I mean, clearly that's kind of what he's about. He's like, he's come to Earth, and maybe that's a metaphor for America, or a metaphor for a sort of Western civilization, or even just the modern world. And he has to find his place in it. And regardless of what gifts he's offering to the world, and how he wants to not only fit in, but also to make it better, he still could be met with resistance, and he still could be sort of looked at like an outsider, and all the sort of things that cause him pain, and where his real struggle comes from. And I think that really, in a lot of ways, Superman is like, to me, I think that because he is an outsider who wants to belong and wants to be part of a family and part of a society, and because he does, like I said, have so much to offer, I think that he really, he does tend to me, and for me as well, I think that he speaks a lot of times to people who are slightly disenfranchised or who aren't 100% appreciated necessarily for the gifts that they have to give the world. So it makes me happy to hear that.
Another iconic character you introduced in Batman v Superman for the first time was Wonder Woman, and you also produced her 2 solo films with Patty Jenkins. What did you think about Wonder Woman 1984 and seeing the character grow so much from her start in BVS?
I really think Patty did an amazing job, and I think the movie is singular and amazing. And I think Gal really has kind of come into that character in a really sort of beautiful and kind of what I would consider sort of effortless way. I think that, there's so many things in the movie I think that are particular to the way Wonder Woman looks at the world. And so I think in that way it's incredibly successful and really and fun. And frankly, it's a movie that I think right now has an amazing message and really kind of, is heartwarming and in a lot of ways restores sort of faith in, humanity, which I think is a good thing.
So Wonder Woman 1984, what were some of your favorite moments? Because you can't go into spoilers now; it's already out.
Yeah. So sorry if I am spoiling the movie, but I think my favorite parts of the movie were, I love the Themyscira opening. I thought that was really fun. I love, sort of that world, the world of Themyscira, and I find it really fascinating and it's really interesting. And so anything that happens on Themyscira, I'm down with, 100%. And then I really like I like Steve in the movie. I thought Steve, when he comes back, and he's kind of, because Chris is amazing. He's really, the role is perfect. And he's perfect in it. But, you're able to go on this roller coaster ride with Diana where she has everything comes flushing back in this really intense and incredible way. And so, you sort of see that everything that's happened between the first Wonder Woman and this movie, without it, because certainly she's done amazing things probably in the time between, but to have this one secret wish for the world, this one thing for her that's personal, I think that it makes her really relatable, and incredibly kind of real, and I thought that was one of my favorite bits.
Nice. And let's transition from Wonder Woman 84 to the next DC movie, which happens to be your big one, Justice League, that everybody is incredibly excited for. And every bit of information gets people going, and you see people are trending hashtags regularly, kind of holding the banner of this movie. So I want you to take me back to the moment when you realized that the Snyder Cut, your Justice League, will see the light of day. And obviously there was 2 years of fan campaigns fueling this thing into becoming a juggernaut movement. But could you describe how you felt personally knowing that your vision will finally come to light?
Yeah, it's it was an interesting experience. I got to say, I never really thought it would happen. I've been, sort of living with the prospect that it would never happen, and fine with it. I'll be honest, I just sort of made peace with the fact that this was the world that I was going to be in. It was going to be a situation where this was a movie that I never really finished. And I mean, I have my cut of it here at the house, and if you want to see it when you're over, you can check it out. But that's pretty much it. But when we got to the point where, and through a lot of hurdles and back and forth, that we sort of come to the place where, yes, the movie, they want to finish it and they're going to do it the right way. And that was really, it was a really, for me, it was a pretty cathartic and pretty beautiful moment, that I shared with everyone, my family and Debbie and everything, and this kind of idea that, we could sort of see this through was a really kind of impossible dream come true. So yeah, that's kind of how it hit us, and it's been a pretty great ride ever since. We've been just working hard on the movie for the last 6 months or longer, and it's looking pretty good, I think.
Yeah, that's great, and that's awesome to hear. I mean, having the chance to come back after 3 years and finally be able to complete your true Justice League, obviously, it's a very amazing experience. And now you're going to be able to add even more additional sequences that you may not have been able to add on the theatrical restraints that are placed. So how is it like being, back on set for this movie and being able to add those additional scenes? I know there's scenes with Jared Leto and these other characters that we would not have seen originally. How is it like just being able to film those to align Justice League with your actual truest vision?
Well, I mean, I think it goes like this. In my mind, it's like the whole concept of us adding whatever we were going to add to the movie is it was like first of all, let's just clarify. It's there's like 2 bits that I added. One bit that I had really sort of hoped to shoot in post, but never got the chance to. And then one that scene with Jared, this whole little piece with Jared. And so, the truth is, the rest of the 4 hours of the movie are really just what I shot, because, the truth is I was in a struggle with the studio, and famously we had a lot of stuff we had to do and make it funny and all this stuff. And, frankly, I just kind of, in a slightly subversive way, just kept also doing my thing at the same time so that I would have what I believed would be, closer to what I would want to do without any influence, And I always kind of shoot that way anyway. I always try and shoot, what I think is right. So it's been look, and so putting the movie back together was really a process. Like, it was almost like, being archaeologists, we were just kind of like pulling all the pieces and like, what I had and what I had shot and what, would never have seen the light of day, even though I shot it, that we were able to pull back and put in the movie and all that. So that's been a really great process, because like I say, only a very small fraction of the movie is the new stuff that I shot. But that said, I was talking to Tamra, who's my visual effects producer, and we were talking about the fact that there's like 80-something% of the movie has never been seen, by anyone, visual effects wise, and sort of, and that's not even including the scenes that you guys have never seen that don't have visual effects. So that part's really exciting, and I can't wait for everyone to sort of experience the sort of giant scale of this and this adventure the way I had hoped for everyone to experience it. And then as far as being on set, that was really exciting and fun, and it was cool to see everyone, and it was just really like, it is as if we never stopped. So it was really quite satisfying and really and really a joy, to be honest.
Well, it seems like a lot of fans, and understandably, I mean, they kind of fought for your vision for 2 years, and now that they've seen that, they're getting it. It seems like you have a very special relationship with your fans, and a lot of them would love, obviously, to see your story and your intended arc continue. So we saw a lot of fans trend restore the Snyderverse recently, and the demand is clearly there, and with streaming being the priority for studios now, and the investment already like made into completing Justice League, is that something you would be interested in, like continuing on that, that journey that you guys have been working on now for so long?
Yeah, I mean, look, I'll be on. Look, I never thought I'd be here doing this. Let's be frank. Like, you know, I didn't think I'd be doing Justice League, finishing Justice League. So, do I think? And look, you know, the truth is, and it's been widely reported, and and I have no issue. You know, this is a old movie. You know, this is a 3-year-old movie I'm working on. You know, the DC universe has, you know, it's branched off and done its own thing, and that's fine. And I'm really, as far as what I did, and as far as what my vision for what I wanted to do with these characters and the journey I wanted them to go on, it's well known that I planned on, you know, more movies, it was 5 movies or something. But I'm busy. I got a lot going on. You know, so is it my, you know, is it cool that the fans have so much faith in sort of in the trajectory? Yes, it's amazing, and I couldn't be happier, and I'm excited for them to see Justice League so they can really drink the entire elixir of Justice League. But as far as like, would I continue? You know, I have no plan to, and but you know, like I said, I didn't think I'd be here, so who knows?
And over the last 3 years, it seems like we've learned a lot about your Justice League, but at the same time, this is a 4-hour movie, so we really know little about what you have in store. So, is there a specific character or moment that you're most proud of for fans to see in Justice League?
Yeah, there's a lot of moments I think that are really just, you know, incredibly just cool shit. I can't wait for you guys to see. I think it's going to be amazing. I don't want to this truly is a spoiler, so I'm not going to give it to you. But I will say this is that I do think that the scale and the scope of the movie is fitting, and even the emotional stakes and scale and the journeys that everyone goes on are really clean and kind of they're really global and intimate at the same time, which I think is really what I was going for with these characters all along, and what I've done and what we've even talked about on this call. You know, what I always hoped for these characters was these giant stories with really intimate, you know, kind of relatable arc, you know, character arcs. So that's I can't wait for you guys to experience that.
I'm sure all the fans were all just ecstatic for seeing your vision come to life. And as a Superman fanboy, I got asked another Superman question, and that's what's the significance of having Superman the black suit in this movie beyond just the fact that it's cool and it's a comic book thing, but obviously Superman is the centerpiece of your arc, like we said, and each film takes him to a new plateau. With his rebirth in Justice League, what is some of the symbolism you're trying to achieve with the character? I know a lot of things with Excalibur are coming up, so what are some of the intentions for Superman with this movie?
Yeah, just to talk about the black suit, you know, I really was always a very strong advocate for the black suit. I really wanted the black suit. It made sense for me because it's exactly as you say, that Superman is a character notoriously who does not grow. He's like a rock and everything just smashes against him. And then we learn by trying to change a thing that's unchangeable, so we learn about ourselves. That's sort of the old way, old Superman, where I really felt like my Superman needed to, like, at every step, he has to sort of level up and sort of learn something and be something different. Because in the end, the idea is that, or what I had planned was that, you know, the sort of final step for Superman is kind of his real return, or his real sort of coming into what I would consider like almost like the classic Superman. And that's, so we don't really get it in this movie, like the classics. You still like, I also think that the black suit, I mean, this is good. This is slightly weirdly technical. It also is a great time delineator. Like you understand. So if you were to see a flashback or flash forward, him in the black suit lets you know where you are in time, because it's very particular to this certain arc. And so I really was always excited about using the black suit to kind of lock us in to like when he goes from the black suit back to the red and blue suit, like, and then what when he's in the red and blue suit, what that means, or when he actually goes back to it, what does it mean? You know, so it all has to have like, it can't just be like, oh, now let's put him in the blue suit, now let's put him in the black suit. Like, it's no, that's not cool.
Yeah, so like you mentioned, the scope and the scale of this film is just huge. So coming back to it, how have you, what are the challenges with completing the VFX, and how far have you gotten with that and mixing the score and just getting to the final complete product?
Yeah, right now, we are about 99% done with the visual effects, which is good. I think we only have 100 shots left, maybe less. The score is pretty much done, and we're just mixing now, and it's amazing. Yeah, it's really exciting to kind of have the movie in this shape right now. It's like I'm watching it again. I watch it like, every couple of weeks we watch it, just to make sure everything's locking in. And we're going to watch it, I think next week. And it should be like almost completely done. So it's going to be really kind of, for us, it's almost like a QC, like a quality check, where we're really just going like, oh, those shots, there's one shot that we should try and make better if we can, stuff like that. But that's kind of where we are right now, and it's pretty exciting.
There's been a lot of a little bit of confusion whether the Justice League will be still told in chapters, or are we getting it as a full 4-hour film? It's kind of hearing different things back and forth. Is that the situation with you as well, where it's constantly changing, or how are things looking like of how fans will be able to consume?
Yeah, I think that we're waiting. Yeah. There'll be, when we start the campaign, the advertising campaign, which is coming soon, there'll be all that will get made clear, and the whys of everything. I just don't want to step on the announcements, because they're going to be really kind of cool and big, and I just want everyone to kind of let it really take it for what it is, because we've got some cool things in the works for how we're going to lay out the way you're going to watch the movie and all those things. So it's very particular, and I think it's going to be fun.
So recently, multiple film directors like Christopher Nolan were not happy with the dual theatrical HBO Max model for 2021. Saying it might kill the theatrical experience. Where do you stand on both the decision and also your perspective on the future of cinemas in the face of streaming?
A huge, fan of the movies and the cinema experience, the in-person, collective experience of watching a movie. It's been those buildings are my churches, and that's kind of how I sort of see it. My experience with HBO Max has been amazing, because they've been nothing but supportive of this very expensive and very meticulous project that they've charged me with, and that we will partner with and release, in the coming year. I don't know that giving, in the end, they own these things and they can do with them as they please. That's just how it is. Do I think that things that endanger the cinematic experience are not a great idea? Of course, I think any filmmaker would be afraid of losing the theaters, because that's the last thing any filmmaker would want. I feel like we all need to rally and support the cinematic experience in the theater whenever we can, when it's safe. And my hope is to make movies in the future that you can see on the big screen. So.
Well, 2021 is obviously turning out to be a huge year for you, between Justice League, Army of the Dead, and now you're also working on an IMAX remastering of Batman v Superman.
Oh yeah.
Where did the idea come from to go back to Batman v Superman, and also is Man of Steel potentially next?
Yeah, I think it's worth a look. It probably does need a remastering. It's been a while since we've taken a look at it. We can talk to them about that. BVS happened because we had noticed that there was a color mistake in one of the releases of Batman versus Superman. And we just looked into it. I was like, hey, what happened? And I guess it was like, it's a technical snafu. And so I was like, well, this is a great opportunity for us to go back and fix it and do the whole thing and do the IMAX release and let everybody see the whole movie and every bit of it. And I think that was kind of how we got to it. I mean,
Zach, so go ahead.
And it's actually worked out really nicely for the calendar. It was serendipitous, to be honest, and that's great.
So Zach, we have a couple of rapid fire questions for you, and so you don't have to give too long of your thoughts. Whatever comes quick to your mind and whatever quick for you, that works for us. So first thing is, what do you think about what Matt Reeves is doing with the Batman?
I think it's great. I'm excited.
What are your thoughts on the multiverse approach that WarnerMedia is now taking with DC, and how do you think your DC saga will fit into this multiverse concept?
The multiverse is great, and I think it's smart because that's kind of what they're doing anyway. And where does my Justice League fit in? It fits in exactly where it is, because I started with Man of Steel like however long ago that was. What is this, 9 years ago or 8 years ago, something like that. And now I'm here at the end of Justice League. So my cinematic sort of expression has been complete and singular. So it's good. My opinion.
What's the most difficult shot, or what was the most difficult shot to create in Justice League?
One of the most difficult shots, it wasn't difficult, but the trickiest shot, and it's not going to seem like anything when you see it in the movie, is when when the team are in the Wayne Industries hangar talking about the mother box, trying to figure out where Cyborg's explaining what the mother box is. I had done that in this super complicated 2 dollies, 4 cameras, through beam splitters in a 360-degree dolly around the table with green screens covering the cameras, so that like the cameras were constantly rotating around all the actors. 2 cameras, 4 cameras, but 2 cameras in each size. So 8 cameras all in sync rolling around them. And it allowed the actors to really kind of interact, and you see all the exchanges, and one says a piece of dialogue and the other one picks it up, and it all just kind of like flows around this like beautiful circle. So yeah, when you see it in the movie, you're gonna be like, it's gonna go right past you, but it was super. It was a lot. I was really deep in it when I figured that out.
Would you ever want to do a Star Wars movie, and what is your favorite Star Wars movie?
Would I want to do a Star Wars movie? Yeah, I mean, of course, everybody wants to do a Star Wars movie. I mean, I think that's the easy answer. My favorite Star Wars movie is, Star Wars, the original, and then 1977, and then Empire Strikes Back probably is my favorite Star Wars movie. I think that's the correct answer for anyone.
Johnny, you want to take 5?
Sure.
No, I'm okay.
So if you switched universes and had the chance to create,
I was like, take 5.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Take question 5. Yeah, we're just going through the
I'm like,
questions.
I'm in the zone. Don't take 5. Sorry, go ahead.
So yeah, if you switched universes and had the chance to create a film for any Marvel character, which one would you choose?
I would look. I'm looking at my bookshelf. I would choose the Elektra Lives Again. Do you know that Frank Miller comic book? It's a graphic novel about Elektra, a Daredevil is having these dreams about Elektra coming back to life, and it's really cool and weird. And it's all beautiful. Lynn Varley painted, did the color, and it's just cool and beautiful. That's what I would do. If it, no one cares, but that's what I would do.
No, trust me, people are gonna care. I'm pretty sure of that. So we're big basketball guys here, and we're obsessed with the NBA
sure.
and stuff like that. So we noticed that you also worked on Michael Jordan's Playground way back when, and we want to know, number one, how was that experience like? But number two, if you still watch the NBA right now, who's your favorite NBA player?
Oh yeah, working with Michael was amazing. It was really doing that job and kind of working with the NBA in those days. I was literally I was still in college when I did that. And so it was really crazy. I was like, I'm, Michael Jordan, for God's sake. And I did a couple of commercials with him later, years later, maybe like 5 years later, I did a Wheaties commercial with Michael. And so I saw him a couple times over the years. And so it was fun. He's amazing. And I played one-on-one with him when we were shooting, and he dunked on me. So that's just cool. I don't, honestly. I did try and push him pretty hard when he was doing it. I thought oh God, don't injure him or something, Not that I could he could literally just step on me and crush me. So it wasn't a big deal, but my only defense was to just kind of push him in the ribs as hard as I could. But he still was unfazed by me, which is what you would expect. But my favorite player right now is the King, for sure. LeBron's, that's where it's at. At my house, LeBron's the whole, my son, my nanny, they're obsessed. So there's a lot of love for the King, but that's just,
that's a pretty
why
good
wouldn't
answer.
there be?
That's a good answer.
What?
That's a good answer. That's a good answer for us. We're all LeBron fans here. So.
Yeah.
Okay, well, yeah.
All the same thing. Grew up with LeBron, same thing. So that's awesome. That's actually an amazing story. Thank you for giving us that kind of little insight of playing one-on-one with Michael Jordan. That's like a dream, honestly.
Yeah.
But, all right. So let me wrap up with this final question to you and bring it back to the movement and the fans. The entire journey of Justice League and what it meant to you and your family, of course. So to wrap up 2020, the fans hit the 500,000 milestone, which is absolutely incredible and unheard of and unprecedented, honestly, for a fandom to have that kind of relationship with the director and a movie. So what do you think is going to be the true legacy of the fandom and the movement?
I think that listen, and I've said this, and I'll continue to say it, but these fans and what they've been able to achieve with this money that they've raised and this sort of awareness that they've brought, real lives are being saved. It's fun to make a superhero movie. That's great. And we all can enjoy that. But the real work that's being done, the real literal lives that are being saved, that's the why of it. And I think that the legacy of this fandom is that they have taken a tragedy for them and for me in more than one way, and they've turned it into this huge positive and this huge bringing of awareness and bringing of us together to kind of find a common good and a kind of and in a lot of ways embodies true sort of Joseph Campbellian hero's journey for the entire fan community. Every single person. And I said, it doesn't matter. If you just tweeted the hashtag or whatever, you're part of it. It doesn't, and great, you gave $1. That's amazing. And more is more. So I think the legacy of this is that, regardless of what anyone thinks, the miracle of this group, this fan community coming together is undeniable, and what they've done is unbelievable, and I couldn't be prouder to be associated with that legacy.
That's awesome. So Zach, we appreciate you taking the time to sit with us today. It felt like a long time coming, honestly, for myself and my brothers, because our first interview for Comic Book Debate was Clay Enos, and then we followed that up with Larry Fong, and then Jay Oliva, and then Fabian Wagner, and then Ray Fisher. So it feels good to come all the way full circle and to finally have the actual director sitting with us. And it's definitely a great honor and privilege for us to have that, connection, especially after growing 3 years as a young website. So we got to thank you for that, man.
Well, it's my pleasure, and I appreciate everything you guys have done and all the support you've given the movies and the movement and everything. You guys are invaluable voice, and and also insightful and smart about every these characters, and I really appreciate that.
Awesome. So we encourage you guys, the audience, to definitely check out the donation link that's going to be in the description and in the pinned comment. It's Autumn Snyder's Tribute Fund, and definitely donate what you can, whether it be $1, whether it be a couple of bucks. If you don't have the means, share it, amplify other voices, try to do as much as you can. Every bit you can do helps. So definitely be there. As Zach said, you guys are simply saving lives, and that's what it's all about. So you can find that link in the description and the pinned comment. We encourage you guys to check it out. And from myself, from Zayan, from Umar, from Samir, and from Mr. Zack Snyder, we're the Farooqi Brothers, and we'll see you next time. Peace out.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.